what, guys? It's a long time in oh my God, Jesus. It's been a long time in the making, but we're finally here. We're finally at my birthday week episode. The birthday week episode I've had planned since over 8 months when we started this podcast. Also, we've been doing this for 8 months. Think of it. Disgusting.
Oh.
Yeah, no. We've done this for more than half a year. And somehow it feels like it hasn't been that long, shockingly.
You know what that means? We've known each other for 8 months. Directly knowing each other.
We can't pretend we're like brand new friends anymore. We like know each other now.
It's like going to be offensive if I forget something in your personal life now.
Yeah, no, we've gotten to the point where there's like actual consequences to our actions.
Gosh.
I will say the fact that this 8 months has gone pretty fast bodes well for the next 2 years.
Yes. Complicated though. I am approaching 30, so like, you know, Wonka time, yeah, let's go. But like personal lifetime, whoa. But this isn't about me
in my
aging.
Personal life, it's felt long, but in my Wonka life, it's felt short.
That's such a good point.
My Wonka self is, you know, there's Wonka years and there's human years and they're different.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're like so close to the Earth's crust, we're at a different time rate.
And that's what happens when you go to Minus Land. Yeah. Anyway, we've been doing this podcast for 8 months. And on day one, I decided to, we've been talking about this a lot recently because both of our birthdays are right next to each other, but that I will enact a policy that on whichever host's birthday it is, theys get to decideth the episodeth. And that is what's happening today. Because yes, that's right. I'm squeezing my special interest of actually around 10 months in here of Succession. I knew this would be a Succession episode since day one. And I am very excited. I'm very excited about my decision. If you haven't watched Succession, don't worry. Elaine hasn't either. And that's part of the fun of it.
I think y'all need to know, like, Felicia talks about Succession all the time. I mean, you've even heard it on the podcast.
Yeah, no,
like, it leaks in, but just know outside of this, it's very predominant.
I don't know why it has such a hold on me, but like you don't choose your special interest except in the case of Wonka, in which so I very much so did choose it as a special interest. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I did. But your special interest really chooses you most of the time, unless it's Wonka. So that's where we are today. I'm very excited. We're in the lull between seasons, so hopefully this will hold us all over until season 4.
I'm excited for all like the diehard Succession fans are going to come out. I think like you're going to bring them out, and like they didn't know the crossover was ready, but here we are, guys. So I'm excited for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy I get to be here. I feel honored that I've been included and that you gave me some of your favorite characters. Like that's a lot of pressure for someone who literally didn't watch any of the show.
Thanks everybody for just letting me have this episode for me and myself. I'm very excited about it. I think this will be a great time. Thank you. I'm thinking I'm turning 19 and I'm like too young. Take it back. Go on, give me a few more years later. I don't want my life to be shorter. It's just it feels weird. Also 19 is such a nothing birthday because you're not 20. I get a whole new number. That's a number I've never had before.
20
That's
is
a digit I've never seen. I'm excited.
Yeah, 20, you got 21, and then 25, you can rent a car. And honestly, after 25, I have officially hit the years where like someone asks me how old I am and I have to pause because you don't really have to say your age anymore. And you're like,
Actually, no, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Trust me, I understand that, but in the opposite way. Me and my job, when they're like, yes, I have a child. And I'm like, don't ask me how old I am. Don't ask me.
Lie. Oh, I love lying. What? Why would I confess that? I was about to say on national public radio. And okay, guys, I was at an ABBA disco last night. I'm on
guys,
Little
we got acquired by NPR. Can you guys
NPR? Can you imagine?
We're joining the NPR podcast network, guys.
Happy birthday, Felicia. We're part of NPR. God, I want a t-shirt though, you know.
I did get one of Elaine's birthday presents early, which is a terrifying duck that looks like a red panda. And I know you guys can't see it on the record, but I opened it and went, what the fuck? And then I read the note and it just said, quack, quack, have a happy birthday. And I was like, whoa. But it's very special to me. I'm thinking of creating a Wonka Watch related name that I have not yet decided on. I can hold him real close to the camera and he's got this mean stare in his eyes that I really appreciate.
I love him. Oh my gosh. And then, we have him, and then we have Ficklegrubber, who I am holding, by the way.
Oh yeah, Ficklegrubber, he's wearing his hat, he's wearing his bow tie. He's the third co-host on this podcast at this point.
Probably going to hold him for every single episode now. So
he's the best. I mean, it's great for the video recordings. There's just this frog lurking in the corner. But yeah, you might say, how does Succession and Willy Wonka tie together? And I will say, surprisingly well, because this is another edition of our Who Would Win Wonka's Factory Succession edition, but kind of a little different in a way that I will explain later. But before we really get into it, I think it's time for the part of the podcast we know and love, where Wonka Watch, where we review the latest and greatest in Wonka news. And Elaine?
Yeah.
I actually have something. After weeks.
I just started salivating.
I know. So I'm going to do this quick piece of Wonka news first, which I do think is important because it is directly related to the 2023 movie, but kind of tangentially, before we jump into the big piece. So here's a fascinating thing I learned, and I'm a little bit heartbroken. I feel like Wonka has taken something from me because Paul King has left Paddington 3 because of his commitments with Wonka.
I'm sorry, there's a Paddington 3 on the way.
Yeah, Paddington in Peru is on the way. And I want to see it so bad, but Paul King had to leave. So according to The Hollywood Reporter, I got this from AWN.com, Wilson is taking over directing duties from Paul King. This guy named Dougal Wilson is taking it over. He's like a commercials director. Paul King is currently working on Warner Bros. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory prequel. And King shared some thoughts with The Hollywood Reporter on passing his baton to Wilson, saying, after 10 years of working on the Paddington movies, I feel absurdly protective of the little bear, and I'm delighted that Dougal will be there to hold his paw as he embarks on this third big screen adventure. Dougal's work is never less than astounding, funny, beautiful, heartfelt, imaginative, and totally original. As Aunt Lucy once asked us to please look after this bear, I know Dougal will do so admirably. Jesus Christ, Paul King. It's an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. You don't need to make me cry. Okay.
I'm like really emotionally fragile right now. And like I am.
Yeah, because of the ABBA disco.
The ABBA disco really hit home, guys. I did cry on the dance floor. Don't look at me
about the ABBA disco, but I do want people to know it is important context. It's important. I think.
Man, I mean, how do you feel about like having to trade one for the other? Because Paddington, you know for sure, is a solid thing. You love it. I
don't think it was worth it.
Yeah.
I don't
Paddington
love
is a solid career that is like continuing clearly. I mean, and like
I understand
an ongoing
working for
work.
10 years on the same thing though. I understand. Like
yeah, that's fair.
But if Wonka takes Paddington from me and Wonka is bad, I will be so mad. If this results in a bad Wonka and a bad Paddington, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
You get Baddington?
Baddington?
If you get Baddington and then Womp Wonka. Womp Wonka. This is fascinating. No, I do think like,
but it's kind of, I think it's just showing what a toll on the world Wonka will be, and hopefully it's worth the price. I just sounded like a super movie villain.
That was, I'm sure other people on a different
Riddler.
podcast would have been like,
the face I made in the camera was very Riddler after I said that.
Yeah, no, I feel like for other people, they'd be like, yeah, so Paul King is no longer on Paddington 3,
so
whatever.
Like Paul Dano. Sorry, I know I do, but I do the face, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. But on that sour piece of news, I have a very exciting piece of news. Genuinely, I'm excited about. And it's got enough in it that I thought we could cross off some predictions. However, we did not make official predictions about this, which I was very much so saddened to learn. But we have talked about this. This comes from a cameo done by one Miss Olivia Colman that someone found. Thanks to the Wonka movie Instagram, once again.
And Wonka, I was only there for about 5 days, and I played an evil person, which was really fun, with Tom Davis, who was my evil chum. So I had a big fat suit. He's very tall, he's about 6'6", and I was short and dumpy with a great big fat suit, so we looked like, classic evil pair. That was brilliant. The sets were incredible. Can't wait to see that.
I knew she was evil.
I know you called this. You called this.
Oh my God.
I was on the Olivia Colman aunt team. I mean, she could still be his aunt. We don't know if she's not.
Could, but the Tom Davis is no longer the scruffy. I mean, maybe he'll do that henchman thing where he like has an Iago moment and he swaps sides. But like, that's an interesting turn of events.
I know.
So Miss Bonbon is probably good. I know,
because I went through. I was like, surely we've made a prediction about this, but apparently we've just talked about it in length because we don't edit anything until unless it's in our official prediction section at the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
So we talked about it, I think, during the episodes in which we were guessing what the cast members might be.
Yeah.
But I don't think we were kind of more just throwing out ideas and spitballing.
Yeah.
So we didn't put them as official predictions. But if we had, you would have gotten some there. I thought Tom Davis was going to be a good character. So this is life-changing for me. But this is like the first piece of genuine news we've had in a while. Like, that's great. I don't think she was supposed to say that. But hey, I'm happy.
This is a ripple effect, though, because it makes me wonder, Keegan-Michael Key and Matt Lucas, then, are they just another separate, like, do we have two sets of evil people who are going to end up clashing? Or are they actually good? You know what I mean? Like, what are
Olivia
those
Colman
doing
said
now?
she's only on set for like 5 days. How long is this movie going to be?
I'm hoping just a solid, like, no longer than 2 hours, but
I think it's going to be a solid 2 hours. I don't think it's going to be 3.
Probably won't be an hour and a half.
If you added songs to Paddington, it would be 2 hours. So,
2 hours.
Paul King writes a tight story, but if we have songs, you're going to hit 2. I know. It's like there's not even many jokes we can make. It's just we actually have Wonka news.
We actually have Wonka news. It's been a while. I don't know. My body is like...
It feels weird. It feels weird to actually know things.
I know. Again, we keep talking. We kind of forget about the prequel. It's just because we haven't had anything new. You know, it's like, oh, right, this is how the prequel's happening.
It's like, oh, yeah, here's some news about the prequel. Anyway, back to us talking about an insane hypothetical situation where we've built a multi-level escape room underneath the ground. Yeah, this podcast is about the Willy Wonka prequel. Why are you crying? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, what's the episode next week? Oh, it's about Succession. What was last week? It's about Mr. Beast. And they're like, how is this related? It's like, no, you don't see the bigger picture. Everything's connected in our world.
Everything.
When you really think about it, it's all just energy.
Yeah, we're just like, what I'm breathing in is what George Washington breathed out and what Gandhi breathed in.
Well, now that we've gone to talking about actual Wonka news, let's go back to decidedly less Wonka related. Still Wonka related, but not really that Wonka related. So I'm going to set the scene for everybody. I'm going to try to do my best to explain things. And Elaine, you are being instructed to prompt me if what I says is not enough information and doesn't make sense.
I will let you know if what you says is not right. Makes no sense. I got you.
So, for people who don't know, Succession, which is available on HBO, it's nice for me because normally the special interests I have are shows that I know are not good. So it's nice to have a show that I think holds up under actual scrutiny. The show is focused on the Roy family, who are like massive, basically billionaires. They're head of the Waystar Royco media news conglomerate. And they're basically kind of like the Murdoch family that owns and operates Fox News. They're super conservative and all around terrible people. But it's fun. A lot of the drama of the show is who will be the next CEO after the aging leader Logan Roy, who's an all-around dickbag, either dies or retires. So I was thinking, what if Logan got sick of like all this fighting, which he wouldn't, but like, what if he was just like, I want to decide once and for all who will be the next CEO? My Mel Stewart voice is genuinely based on Logan Roy. So
that's amazing.
So that's where that comes from. So I basically decided, what if he got tired of it all and decided to outsource his leadership designation to an old friend back in his early business days? An old friend, perhaps by the name of Wonka? Logan Roy had seen the golden ticket search and was like, wait, now hold on. I can get into that kind of brutality. So he hires Wonka to set up a series of similar trials by fire and temptations for those in his family to work in his company to see who gets it. And this is just a little author's note from me. The contestants chosen on this were who I thought would be most fun to write about, not the actual people in the running. Shiv has been done so dirty by her family. I don't think shoving her in a gloop tube would feel right. Everything in the show has an underlying sadness to it, so it's sometimes hard to make a good joke about it. So that's why certain characters were chosen. That's, I think, what everybody needs to go going in. Is that good?
That sounds good. I feel up to speed.
So we're kind of following a similar format to the Timothée Chalamet characters episode in the same way that somehow Elaine has written way more than me for an episode that I designed.
The way that I was assigned these characters, as Felicia said, they were some of her favorites. And what Felicia did is she made me a comprehensive guide of some details about them and then little video snippets that would kind of help me get like a taste of what it is. So basically what I did for Dune with Paul, where I didn't watch Dune, but I did like a little bit of research. So Felicia helped me out there.
So
there's a lot of pressure for me to, nail your favorite show and your favorite characters.
Honestly, I kind of want you to mess it up because I think that's more fun.
That would be great. I can't wait to, just go off character.
I think that's why I didn't write so much, because there was kind of that, like, I'm too into it. So, like, if I write too much, it'll just be not even funny.
Sense.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I don't think
about it too hard.
Like, when it comes to writing, I don't have a stop button. I'm the kind of person that, like, I don't edit as I go. I crank out and then I edit later. So, like, when I go. All
right. So I think it's time for us to talk about who is entering the factory. I will add my first gentleman in first. Coming in hot, kind of tangential mention on the podcast because I bring him up a lot. It's Kieran Culkin / Roman Roy. I'm not just bringing in Kieran Culkin. It is Roman Roy. But for those on the podcast, I have mentioned many a time how I think Kieran Culkin is the perfect casting for Mike TV. And if The Factory 4 were ever to be made into a movie, Elaine's Beautiful fan fiction, he would be perfect. I'm sorry.
I'm so for it. No, don't apologize. It makes sense.
He's about 5'6". He's kind of, I don't even know how to describe him. He's just like kind of like an angry little dog. That's a terrible person. Let's make that clear. Terrible, awful, shit person. But what a fun character to watch. He accidentally sends his dad a dick pic in season 3. What a great plot point for a primetime HBO show to have.
What's his dynamic in the family?
So he is kind of like he's not the youngest sibling, but he feels like the youngest sibling to such an absurd degree. If that makes sense. He's kind of like the rebel. He's like, oh, Dad, I don't care. I don't care what you're saying, Dad. What do you mean? You want me to go through management training? Fuck you, Dad. Ew. Like, that's exactly what he's like.
Gotcha.
And no one else takes him seriously because he's just so much like that all the time. He's like, I'm kind of the Han Solo type of the family. I don't know, guys. Like, I think I'm really cool. And like, everyone wants to have sex with me, clearly. And everyone's like, no, that's not what's happening. He's kind of got some weird repressed stuff going on.
Yeah. It sounds like everyone in this family is going to have a lot of like
weird repressed stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they were like the best of childhoods. If I
no, it's actually really
the
bad.
The parents don't sound great. So
the parents are really bad. But
so he's technically he's the middle child.
Yeah, he's the middle child. He also I saw someone point out that he kind of gets sent along to woo potential business partners. Like he's like the pretty young daughter of the family, but he's not. He's just this weird middle-aged man who's just like, I don't know, dude, that's crazy. Why don't we piss on the phone to show the app doesn't work? And that's Roman.
That fits. Cool.
All right. Who's your first candidate coming into the factory?
So my first candidate is your love of your life, cousin Greg Hirsch. Felicia made me this, again, beautiful guide. So I'm just going to take some highlights from the guide she wrote. Cousin of the Roy kids. So he's not adjacent family, but, not part of the nuclear thing. But he comes to join the company after getting fired from his job as a theme park mascot at one of their parks because he smoked too much weed and threw up in the suit, which I thought really was a good setup for this character. He's a little gangly. He's very adorable. He seems a little hesitant, but he's also like, my vibe was like,
it's terrifying.
Yeah, he gets into dark shit, like deep shit, but he seems like, I don't know, like still a little like,
he's kind of like if Goofy from the Goofy movie became a person.
Yes, I see that. He blackmails people. He's currently suing Greenpeace because his grandpa gave them his inheritance, which I thought was a great little nugget. And then he's really, I don't know if they're buddy, but he and another character, Tom, that we'll get into later, interact a lot in this show. And their dynamic is quite interesting.
It is strange and bizarre.
So that's our cousin Greg.
The sad little Victorian boy who got stretched out in a taffy machine. He's here.
Oh, my.
All right, who do I have next? I have the eldest son. Who is the eldest son? It is Connor Roy. Connor Roy is one of my favorite characters on the show. Again, terrible person. He is a libertarian, and he is running for president. Wow. He is running for president.
Wow. Whoa. Wow.
Connor Roy is played by... Have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off in a while, Elaine?
Not recently, but...
All right, well, Cameron from that, the best friend who's not the main guy.
Yes.
Who's like the depressed one. That's Connor Roy.
Ooh,
so Connor Roy, there's so many things about Connor Roy. He's the eldest son, but he was from a different marriage. So everyone kind of forgets he's the eldest son, and they always call Kendall the eldest son, and he is really pissed off about it. He's about 15 years older than most of the other main cast. He has not worked a day in his life. He kind of lives off his inheritance in a ranch out in Arizona that the family uses to hold meetings at. And he gets really pissed off about it. He is in a relationship with Willa, who is a playwright who is draining all of his money. Willa is also a great character who I love. Willa was a prostitute who he hired, and no one will let him ever forget that. But they weirdly have one of the most positive relationships on the show comparatively.
Amazing.
In any other show, it would be the worst. But on Succession, they're the only one who kind of care about each other a little bit. He's really fun. He goes, when they have Tom's bachelor party, he just gets on, I think he takes Molly and tells everybody how much he loves them, even if he's never met them. He's really fun. I like him. But he's kind of like, he just collects weird things. He gives his dad a sourdough starter in the first episode. And Logan's like, what the fuck is this? Oh, thank you, old stinky bread. And he's like, Dad, I thought you'd like it. And it's kind of sad, but you know what I mean.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's kind of most of what you need to know about Connor. He basically, at the end, in mid-season 1, he's like, I know what job I want to do. And they're like, what, Connor? And he's like, President of the United States. And everyone goes, should you maybe do another job before that? And he goes, no, I think I'm good. So, yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens with him.
I'm excited.
Up next is who is arguably, if there had to be a main character in the show, be the main character. It's Kendall Roy, who is a very interesting character. And the 2 episodes I've watched of Succession with you were very dramatic involving him.
Yeah.
So I have a little more experience with this guy kind of a bit. Let's see. He is the son of Logan Roy, and he was the expected heir to the company, but he's basically done a lot of shit. And for a couple other reasons, he's kind of fallen out of favor to be in line for the throne. And he seems a little bitter about it. And he also is just kind of a weird dude, like frat boy weird, like weird for a frat boy, I think is how best to describe him from what I gathered. He's really obsessed with the idea of like just fucking over his dad, I think, thwarting him in different ways, it sounds like. Like, boom. As Felicia wrote, I don't think he'd commit real murder, but hey, who knows?
Did I write that?
You did.
I wrote this like a month ago, so I don't remember what I wrote.
Yeah, you wrote it
in like like I just had a bad day and I wanted to write about my favorite show, so I really got into it. So I don't remember anything of what I wrote.
Yeah, okay. So the great last line here: tragic figure, but in the way of watching someone who thinks they're killing it at karaoke when they are, in fact, not. I do not remember writing this. I was like, yeah, and then you said that, and I was like, I get it now. It all makes sense. Like I am one with it. So yeah, that's gonna. It was an interesting one to play around with. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, he's an interesting figure. Kendall's not like one of my all-time favorite characters. I enjoy him a lot because like obviously it's my favorite show. I've got to like him. Yeah. But I gave him to you because like I'm so deep in the narrative of the show that I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to come up with something funny. So I gave it to you. So it's your problem now.
Thank you.
I actually don't have many other contestants, but some other people are coming in the factory too. So Logan's there to oversee it all. He's like, Wonka, I hate your fucking candy. They look like stupid little shit. You know what I mean? Or whatever he says. You know, so he comes in. And then there were some people who I had considered coming. I was like, would one of Kendall's kids win the factory?
Oh my God.
So he has one kid, Iverson, but Iverson is like canonically autistic on the show. and is just overwhelmed by noises, and that's kind of his whole character. So I'm like, he wouldn't go. He should not go. He would not enjoy his time.
Don't put him through
and
that.
then his daughter Sophie fed a rabbit a bagel, and it ended up potentially killing the rabbit. And I don't think Wonka would like that.
No,
that's a plot point on the show.
And I think probably per our usual rules of we do horrible things to these people in the end anyway.
I only would have put them in if the kid kid was going to win. So the only other person who's coming in is Jess, who is Kendall's assistant. And Wonka said, don't bring anybody along, but Kendall has no respect for rules because he's a bad boy and he listens to Beastie Boys in the car. And I also listen to Beastie Boys in the car and Run the Jewels, which is the other thing he listens to. And sometimes I'm like, God, why do I listen to the same music as Kendall Roy? How does that reflect on me as a person?
Oof.
It's okay. I don't dig into it too hard. But Jess is there along to kind of just keep an eye on everything. Look out so that Kendall can see things outside of his sunglasses and baseball hat that he wears even inside. I don't know. So that's the squad we've got coming into the factory.
I love it. The last one is my favorite character. From
mine as well. So
the little I have, like, absolutely my favorite character, played by Matthew McFadyen, or I don't even know how to say his last name. McFadyen, Matthew
Mr.
McFadyen.
Darcy himself.
Yes, he is one of my favorite actors of all time, and seeing him in this role was insane because I've never seen him cuss so much and the American accent and all this stuff. So he plays what's the last name? Wamsgans. Tom Wamsgans. And it's hard to describe him, I would say. Felicia
He's like a sad clown who likes Sondheim.
Yeah. Felicia goes, the people's princess. And potentially my favorite fictional character of all time. And she also provided photos for me for each of these characters. And so she has 3 photos of Tom. She goes, I did not have to look up these photos. They were all on my computer. Sad face. So Shiv Roy is the daughter of the main Roy family, and Tom is the husband. So he is married into the family. One of my favorite bullet points here, he thought he was going to prison for a brief period and was like obsessed with it and kept talking about all the prison sex he was going to have and learning how to make toilet wine. It was insane. He's basically the head of this news, Fox News. So is it the same like news organization that they own? He's like the head of that corporation.
Yeah, he originally started in Parks, but then he moves up to ATN, which is their news corporation, in season 2.
Gotcha.
More detail than you needed, but I can't.
It's all good. Season 2. He doesn't really want to be at the top, but he wants to move up in the company, and that's more important to him. Oh, yeah. He doesn't want to be the head of the Fox News, essentially, news whatever.
Yes,
but he wants.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Here it is. Yeah, he kind of makes himself into a little bit of a sad clown for most people to try and be liked. It's very depressing to watch. LOL.
He's very Midwest. Yes. There's a scene in which all the siblings make fun of him for having an agricultural walk, which I don't know. I don't know what it means, but they're right. You know what
amazing. I mean? Yeah, he's both chaotic, conniving, and naive, I would say, all in one. And he is the most unpredictable. He says the wildest shit. Like, you don't I can't even, just words come out that are strung together that you wouldn't expect. You kind of like, I feel like in scenes, I have no idea what angle he's going for. Like, how does he actually feel? Like, it's a lot of like, whoa.
Truly strangest energy I've ever seen in a fictional character. He also wears like a black turtleneck once and he turns into like a musical theater character. It's crazy. Like, he doesn't actually, but it's just the vibes. Anyway, I'm obsessed with him. I love him so much. I had to talk about him in therapy, unfortunately.
Perfect. Love that. You did note that in the note.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have it's not separate from my stories of what happens to my characters, but I do have a specific order of how my people meet Wonka and a little snippet of what that interaction is like when they meet him.
I'm so excited. So, lay it on me.
Okay. So we start with Tom.
Yeah.
And Tom Wamsgans shows up to the factory in a full suit. He reaches out to shake Wonka's hand, but doesn't let go, going on to tell him how he's heard rumors about orgies happening in the factory and that he's spent weeks preparing for these necessary orgies in the case that he wins the factory. He talks about how he's tried different candies to make different flavors of his splooge, which Wonka has no idea what he's talking about. Wonka uses his cane to slap away Tom's hand. That is our first interaction. Up next.
That's not wrong. I will say, the only thing is, I think Tom would be a lot more of a kiss up because I mostly showed you the scenes where he's being crazy. But when he's in front of people that he does not have power over, he is like, make any jokes about me that you want. He pretends to be C-3PO to make somebody laugh. It's the most depressing thing you've ever seen in your life. So I think he'd be a lot more of a kiss up. But if he for some reason believed that Wonka was lesser than, yes, 100%.
Perfect. 100%. I love that.
You would have nailed it. So
off to a great start. Up next would be Cousin Greg. Greg leaves his Heelys at the gate, quickly changing...
I'm sorry. I'm just picturing a 6'7" person on Heelys. That's fucking horrifying. That sounds like a chair. That's a horror movie game.
It is.
You don't even need you don't even need to have a villain. You just have a 6'7" person on Heelys
going for you. That's it. I would play that horror video game in a heartbeat.
That would be so good. I'd be terrified.
If I'm running from it or if I am it. It's just
Dead
like
by Daylight, but you're just
smoke.
playing as a 6'7" person in Heelys.
Oh my god!
What's your Smash Bros main? Oh, it's Cousin Greg in Heelys.
Yeah, so Greg leaves his Heelys at the gate, quickly changing into some shoes Tom bullied him into buying. He tries to say hello to Wonka after Tom has done his whole orgy talk, but Greg fumbles, and instead of saying, "Hello, Mr. Wonka, nice to meet you," he says, "Yes, nice wanker meat." So that's how he introduces himself.
Love it. I love it.
And then last we have Kendall. Kendall shows up late wearing aviators while on the phone with his father, telling him, quote, "Happy Father's Day. Hope your heart is singing and your crusty balls are still swinging." He's sweating through his leather jacket and dark jeans, but when someone asks him if he's okay, he says he's baller, winces slightly, and then does a single spin on his heel before walking away.
They should put you in the fucking writer's room. Elaine. You're nailing this. You're nailing this.
Anyway, so that's important because those plot lines kind of weave in and out of these stories because I'm insane and everything has crossover. So
yeah, I did not write that for my characters, but like you can picture it. Roman Roy's just like, "Oh, you should make a candy that makes dicks get bigger," and that happens. And then Connor Roy's like, "I actually am interested in being a collector of your vintage items," and that's about all that happens. And then Logan's like, "Hello, fuck nut. What's it like in the fucking candy business, bitch?" And then they go in the building. I guess I don't know. There's a line where Logan just yells, "I'm eating dick for 3 hours straight." And so like anything I say, it's never worse than what he says on the show.
That's amazing. I feel like you properly summed them up yet again.
Thank you. It just flows out of me.
Oh my
it's
God,
not like I've probably spent over 100 hours consuming content related to the show and more thinking about it. So
okay, so we're entering the factory, and our first POV, it's gonna be Cousin Greg.
Oh no,
I know. So Greg has been secretly excited about this factory tour, but he's hidden his emotions after Tom made too many jokes about how he should be scared, and then just kidding, I'm razzing you, and then blah, 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 blah. And then Greg was
he heard some rumors about how Wonka was working on edibles, and he was really excited about that, but like didn't want to tell anybody he was excited about it.
Yeah. So he's like trying to like kind of keep it cool, but like it's hard for him to do that. He's taking note of everything around him, and he's really like everything feels interactive, and so he's touching everything, whether he should or not. At one point he touches at one point he touches some like green fondant, so his fingers are green, and he's like feeling awkward about it, and he's trying to hide it, but he doesn't know what to do, and then he's getting green on his shirt. Anyway, we get to
this could literally be me in Wonka's factory, and that's why I hate it. Like that's me who goes into Target and literally will touch everything on the aisle because I feel like I have to. That's what I do.
Oh my God. You're going to love this. Okay.
I just how Felicia would go in Wonka's factory.
Oopies. So he's taking note of everything around him. He's touching everything. And we get to the part where everyone needs to sign the contract, the ridiculous contract on the wall that goes on and on and on. And Greg pulls out a magnifying glass to read the entire document. But everyone's really impatient, so they've signed it, and the rest of the tour moves on without Greg. as he's noting every detail in case he needs to frame Wonka for an E. coli outbreak later, for example. Anything he needs to do to like...
He's taking photos on his phone of all of it.
Yeah, he's got like folders set up. He's like, let me just like get this because no one.
He's got a wire on him just in case.
Yes. So left behind, Greg now is running around completely lost, trying to catch up, but just so fucking lost. He ends up in a room with that has like a plaque saying "Spotty Powder Room."
Oh, no.
Giant industrial tubes hang from the ceiling as sparkly white crystals fall into a large vat. Greg's eyes go wide. He's never seen so much sugar. He goes to eat handful after handful, only to realize it's edible cocaine. What?
Oh no! He was Kendall's coke dealer for like 2 weeks. Yeah. How could he have overlooked this?
So he made a big mistake. He's like, not again. So completely high. Completely high. Greg tries to find the exit, and he sees this door that he thinks says "this way out," but it actually says "keep out." In the Spotty Powder Room, which we did a whole episode on that real chapter of doll fiction.
Yeah.
Upon opening the dark, he enters. No one hears his screams. Paragraph ended. It's 3 a.m. in Pennsylvania. Felicia jolts upright, a cold sweat on her brow. She can sense something is wrong. She recalls her visions, her eyes widening. The prophecy has finally begun. Cousin Greg was in need of her help. The time was here. She pulled out the pre-packed bag she kept under her bed, opened the window, and looked out at the moon. I'm on my way, Greg, she whispered. Wait for me. She hopped out the window of her first floor room, the door only a few feet away from her, but she disappeared into the night, following the scent of chocolate.
Oh my God. Wait, and I will say one thing. And in the room, in the dark, there's a soft glow emitting from Greg. Why? Because he also plays the I Glow kid in Sky High, my first crush as a kid. Don't know why. Rewatched clips. I don't know why that had such a hold on me, but it did. And that's why I have a crush on Cousin Greg today.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean? It's been a lifelong thing.
Yeah, no. It may make sense that it would translate. So Cousin Greg is out.
I'm so happy. Cousin Greggy, I'm coming to get you. Don't worry. It'll be fine. And then nobody tell Tom Greg is gone, because I think he will kill everyone in the factory, genuinely. Yeah,
that would be...
That's the only thing. If I was coming to rescue Greg, I think Tom might kill me. Genuinely. Genuinely, I think I'm in danger. Not from Wonka, from Tom.
I was like, I would write that fan fiction, but I don't think I could stretch that into being like, they were in Wonka's factory, and now we're going to do this whole thing where Felicia's trying to save Cousin Greg from Tom. I think that's too thin of a thread.
I think it's not really related to Wonka anymore. That's just wish fulfillment.
I'll just separately write that. I'll be like Tina from Bob's Burgers, where I write fan fiction about my friends. So that's normal and fine. It's fine.
I'd enjoy it.
Perfect.
I'd be like, best gift I've ever gotten.
Oh my God.
It's genuinely terrifying, though. I love it, though. I'm so glad. That made me so happy. Alrighty. Well, rest in peace, Cousin Greg. We wish you the best, but...
Love you,
so, buddy. Wonka, basically, the thing is the way Logan told Wonka to approach this was to get people who wouldn't be tempted by the allure of other things except for the factory, if that makes winning the company. So they would put the company above all else. So Wonka created all these little distractions for them. So there was probably something created for Greg, but Greg just got lost on his own. So that was a problem. You know what I mean? Who knows what it was? Probably something to do with Cajun chicken linguine from California Pizza Kitchen that he really likes. So Wonka is like, oh, look what's over here. Let's go into this door right here. Roman, this is crazy. Look, I have this candy here that if you eat this candy, you will get your kids back, he says to Roman. And Roman's like, what kids are you talking about? Wonka says, you know, the kids you had in episodes 1 through 3 of season 1. And Roman says, I've never heard of them. I don't know what those are. Are you kidding me? Do I look like somebody who has kids? Are you fucking with me? Wonka, you think I pump my dick into somebody and they had kids and I'd be a dad? Are you kidding me, Wonka? No, daddy more like it. You know what I mean? So that's what Roman talks like. You just have to. So Wonka's like, surely you have it. He's like, nope, don't know, don't care, Fuckleberry. So that room completely just doesn't work. And Wonka's really dejected about it. And he was like, fuck, all right. We need to like take a detour to get, I don't know, like to get me to come up with some new ideas on how to get this to work. Because like Roman can't win the factory. He's terrible. That just didn't work as planned. You know, like there's no way. I think they win the factory and the CEO of the company. It's kind of either or. I'm losing the fiction. So Wonka just kind of moves on awkwardly, and to stall for time, he goes to the Wonka Vision room because he's genuinely very proud of it. And he's like, you know, Logan Roy does news and TV. Maybe we can work together on something. And then the Mike TV scene plays out exactly the same as in the film, just with Roman Roy instead of Mike TV. Literally nothing changes. I just think Kieran Culkin would body that. And they're exactly the same character. So
amazing.
That's all.
Damn. That's perfect. I see Kieran Culkin getting stretched out. I could see that animation working with that. What?
I'm taller than you now, Greg. Fuck you.
Yeah. I see you doing that.
But yeah, no, I was trying to come up with it for a while, and I was like, what about his kids that they wrote out of this plot?
I was about to ask, is it that thing where they're like, yeah, we're going to do this, and they're like, actually, no, get rid of them.
In the first episodes, it's implied he has a wife and kids, and then the kids disappear after 2 episodes, and then he breaks up with the wife, who was apparently just his girlfriend, and they never are mentioned ever again. So,
up next, the second Kendall Roy enters the factory. He wonders how he can steal it from the other contestants. He almost wants someone else to win it just so he can work on stealing it back and ruining their reputations and their lives. Would he be good at running the factory? Who cares? He has enough coke on hand to do whatever he wants. He whistles Lil Wayne songs loudly as the tour progresses, pissing off everyone around him. Once they enter the chocolate room, Willy Wonka begins singing some stupid song about coming with him in a world of pure imagination, which Kendall thinks is gross. He doesn't want to picture Wonka having sex, and after Tim's orgy talk, he's even more grossed out. So he is completely misinterpreted.
It's Tim.
Oh, Tom. Tom.
Tim Wamsgans is such a different character.
That really is. That's his like pretentious prep
evil.
School kid. That's scary. So yes, coming with him in a world of pure imagination. Tom has basically talked about this orgy talk, and everyone's like, "Oh, that must be true now," and they're all confused. So Kendall cuts Wonka's song off, takes his cane, and starts rapping. After a few verses, Kendall mic drops the cane. The tour is completely silent, though. Wonka steals back his cane, and Kendall says, "Fuck you, you fucking spicy spinach milk." Offended by the vegetable reference, Wonka slaps Kendall and ignores him for the rest of the tour. Soon, though, they reach a room filled with soft pillows and blankets. A few lava lamps are around, and it smells like cinnamon buns. Everyone sits down, immersed in cozy vibes. It's called the Warm Fuzzies Room, and Wonka produces a fruit roll-up type candy that looks like shag carpet that he says will make the consumer feel unconditional love. Kendall thinks it's stupid and tries to shove it up his butt as an elaborate prank and a way to piss off his father. Unfortunately, by taking the warm fuzzies up his anus, the candy reacts poorly. Kendall is overcome with the feeling of unconditional love, but the feeling can never reach his heart. He feels like shit. Because it's up his butt. And he can only think of the ways he isn't having conditional love in his life. He thinks of his father. He starts to cry, throws a pillow at someone, and screams, "God damn it, why me? Why am I not enough? My balls are huge. Fuck this." The room starts to swallow him whole, the way that really comfy couches sometimes do. That ends our run for Kendall. Everyone kind of breathes a sigh of relief.
That was fantastic. I really appreciate that you did not play it safe with these at all.
I went there because it's HBO and I did like...
No, but I mean, like, you could have just said, like, oh, I don't know, like, maybe he does this thing and Wonka doesn't really like it. You're like, no, so I've invented a whole new room and there's this candy that he shoves up his ass. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you could have done something that was, like, less... work on you, less like inventive, but no, you're Elaine and you have to innovate, and that's why we're Wonka Watch.
Yes, and I do wish I had a stop button sometimes, but
I almost think genuinely that I think you might have actually gotten Roman a little bit more than Kendall out of that, but it was still perfect. If you put that on Roman, it would be very similar, but it's also very Kendall. So you're right. So they go out of the warm fuzzies room and Connor's like, oh boy, that was quite a feat, wasn't it? That was crazy. Wonka leads him in. He's like, this is my room of vintage items. And some people don't know this. I actually collect items from a war history. Connor's like, war history? I love items from war history. And Wonka goes, of course you do. And Connor's like, did you know this thing that you have right here is actually super famous and because of XYZ? And Wonka goes, yes, I know, I own it. Yes, I know. And then Connor's like, that's crazy. But, dude, I really respect you and I respect what you're doing here at this factory. But sometimes I think you're a little too controlling of everything. What are those cameras for you have, Wonka? What is there in the candy? Is there some sort of weird toxin in the candy? That's why I make all my chocolate from home. I age it in a barrel in the bottom of my basement. All right, Wonka? All right? And sometimes I think you just don't really get the kind of the effects you might be having with your chocolate. And Wonka's like, yeah, it's great. That's cool that you said that, and I totally love that you said it. Wonka just doesn't like Connor. He thinks he's annoying, and he doesn't like that he's talking about things he doesn't really know anything about, and Wonka hates that.
Also, real quick, are we imagining Christian Borle Wonka for this setup? You know what I mean?
I'm always imagining Christian Borle.
Good, okay.
I was kind of picturing Gene, but I am now. So Wonka's like, what was that big artifact you bought last year? And Connor's like, you mean Napoleon's penis that I purchased? And he's like, yes. That thing that you purchased that we for some reason spent time in the show talking about. And Connor's like, yes, a prized part of my collection. So then Wonka says, wouldn't you like to leave something like that of yourself behind? And then Connor's like, what do you mean, cut off my dick? And he's like, no. I'm Wonka. I'm not that crazy. I have to turn into the Christian Borle Wonka. Give me a second. No, I'm Wonka. I'm not that crazy. What are you talking about? All I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a weird little copy of you and I'll shove it in a little jar. It's no biggie. Seriously, it's no biggie. It's like a 3D printer. Those things at the beach that you go into and they don't even work and they look like shit. It's like that. So Connor's like, yeah, you know what? I can get into that. Some nice little merch for the con heads. So Connor gets on the little thingy, and Wonka's like, oh no! I pressed the wrong button. That's so crazy. However could I have done that? Connor gets shrunk down into jar size and gets put in the little jar.
That's horrifying.
Yeah,
you're at Myrtle Beach going through one of those waves stores.
It's Connor Roy.
And it's right next to, if y'all have never been to beach towns, there's always these little surf shops that are chains and are just so trashy in a fun way. But some of the horrifying things they do is they put baby dead sharks in jars and alligator heads. It's weird. So I just imagine Connor in a jar on the shelf at one of those.
Alan Ruck, how did you get in there? It's been a tough time after Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Damn.
I'm the first president to be president from a jar. I may be trapped in the star, but I'm not trapped by the man.
This is so...
Oh, God. So...
That's horrifying. I love that, but that is a horrifying end. I was worried we were going to castrate him. And I was like, you didn't hold back either, did you? Wow.
Well, I mean, there is castration talk in the show, a surprising amount, genuinely.
So we're down to our final two.
Yes.
Hypothetically. So... my person isn't winning. I think it's fair to just outright say, right?
I know who the winner is.
Yeah, you know who the winner is. Yes, you've already figured out the winner. So this is Tom Wamsgans.
Yeah.
Why am I so afraid of saying that wrong? Wamsgans. Okay. After watching Connor get shrunk into a jar, Tom kind of does a weird giggle and goes, well, that was fucking weird, right? Oh, come on. Make him bigger again. Are you razzing me?
Here's the problem. I think Christian Wonka and Tom would be best friends.
My God, they
so
would
it can't be Christian Wonka. So it has to be Gene.
How about Gene on a day he's a little hangry? I think that's perfect.
Yes, Gene on a hangry day.
Gene on a hangry day. He's on Whole30. Tom knows what he wants, and what he wants is power, because that's what his wife, Shiv, wants. So yeah, the factory needs to be his. Tom does his research prior to coming to the factory, and on one Reddit thread titled Conspiracies I Made While on Shrooms in Belize, he finds a golden nugget that he believes puts him ahead of the competition. Wonka has massive orgies in his factory. No one has seen him for years because he's constantly having nasty, dirty, industrial sex. Oh, God, this next part.
I'm scared.
I'm scared. Tom has been practicing his ambidexterity by trying to write with both his left and right hands, which led to him accidentally tampering an important document. He makes Greg deal with it and proceeds to rip up a stack of sticky notes. There's a weird scene with Greg involved in it, but we don't need to dive into that.
Yeah.
If Tom was more self-aware, he'd probably be curious how he made it this far in the factory, but it's that blind confidence that always pushes him forward. Yeah. At one point in the factory, it's kind of like little free time. So many people have left. It's like snacks time, or like Logan's taking a cigar break. I don't know if that's a thing he does, but someone's smoking something for a break or being pissy. I don't know. Anyway, Tom finds himself trying to find where this orgy is. Like, he is figuring out, like, where is this? This is my way to get ahead. Like, if I can crack this is the thing no one knows about. Like, I'm going to instantly win. It's like a shortcut. It's a way I can, like, kiss ass, literally, I guess, to, you know, I kind of hate that I said that. Basically, like, how can I impress Wonka? Boom, I'm ready for the orgy. So he finds us. Oh my God, this is insane.
I never once did, when I was planning this episode, predict that it would lead to Elaine saying, boom, I'm ready for the orgy.
So Tom finds a small room that says whipping cream room, and he chuckles. This has to be it. Swinging the door open wide, he says, aha, until he sees his wife, Shiv, making out with an old crusty guy named Slugworth. Oh, he says. Shiv looks at him and says some lame apology that they had agreed to have an open marriage, which Tom reluctantly agreed to, but really hates on the inside. But he's great at compartmentalizing, so he gives Slugworth a slap on the ass and says, "Get him, tiger," and quickly walks away. He's now part of the final two of the factory. As he walks forward to speak with Wonka one-on-one to see if he can sway him with money or the blackmail Greg found on Wonka, because clearly this orgy isn't happening. He slips.
Wait, if Greg is the one who comes up with the thing and found it on Reddit, that is the most accurate character thing I've ever seen. Yeah, you're so right.
As he's trying to walk up to Wonka, he slips on a stray banana peel, falls to the ground, and passes out, loudly farting on impact. And that's how Tom goes out.
Oh my God, you got him so good. You're so right. So Wonka turns and he realizes, wait, all I have left is Logan. It's just Logan here. And Wonka thinks to himself, hold on. Does Logan never ever want a successor at all? And that this whole experience was just about power over his family. So he respects that Logan wants someone to work in his image, but he does not respect Logan's absolute outright refusal to innovate. This man is stuck on print newspapers when we're in the 21st century. You need to be focusing on media on the web. Listen to your children, you dumb fuck. So Wonka goes and he sees they're back in the chocolate room now discussing what to do next, and Wonka just tips him into the chocolate river. And bye-bye Logan. And Wonka turns around, turns over his shoulder, and who's over there? The only person left in the factory is Kendall's assistant, Jess.
Right!
She's Kendall's assistant who came to the factory with him. Was she supposed to be here? No, she was not supposed to come in. She had to sneak through a back door and hasn't done much the whole time. But she really is the best. Genuinely, just a nice woman who's just here trying her best. She was the one who told Kendall, hey, maybe you shouldn't let the kid feed the rabbit and everything bagel. They die really easily. And Kendall was like, give the kid the bagel. It doesn't matter. But Fickle Crupper is in so much shock. His hat just fell off. This is crazy, guys.
He's clutching his pearls.
But he turns to Jess and he goes, hey, so look, here's the thing. Everybody's gone. Well, Tom's not gone. He's just kind of depressed and passed out on the floor. And like, we can't give it to him after that. That'd be depressing. And I don't know where Greg went. I think he must have died. Not a huge loss, let's be real. But you know, you're the only one left, and you've been pretty chill in the fact that you've said nothing this entire tour, and you know what? That's a quality I admire. I admire someone who knows when it's not their turn to speak, so maybe, Jess, maybe you have potential. And she's like, yeah, I guess. I'm fine with that, I guess. And he goes, great. So I guess you're the CEO of Waystar Royco now. And she's like, I'm not trained for that literally at all. And he's like, I don't care. Do you think I was trained to be a chocolate maker? No. No, I didn't know what I was doing. And then because there's like a huge contingency plan in place, like she doesn't even end up being the CEO because it becomes all bureaucratic and like fucking Stewie ends up being CEO or something. There's a character named Stewie.
Oh, great.
Who is fun, and I almost concluded.
This takes 3 seasons to conclude that little arc right there.
Yeah, that little arc. Like 4 episodes later, Tom wakes up on the floor of the factory, and then he's just stuck there, and he's looking for Greg the whole time. But then I kill him with a very aggressive roundhouse kick to the head, which is crazy because he's like 6'1", so I don't even know how my foot got up that high. And it was my pure love for cousin Greg.
Yeah, no. You had your Timothée Chalamet like amulet powers because they enacted when you knew this time would come. So you're able to find Greg. He ends up in the fizzy lifting room, just popping bubbles and being confused and so high. He doesn't remember how he got out of it because he's so high, but he ended up
out somehow.
Other side of the factory.
And you know who fucking rescued him? What is that character's name? Was it Tiffy, the Oompa Loompa mouse?
Oh, Tuffy?
Tuffy, the Oompa
Loompa mouse. Because he's so high, he starts seeing Tom and Jerry characters everywhere. And this is the origin story of Tom and Jerry Wonkaverse.
He's like, it's just like me and Tom, this cat. I don't know. It's like, there's actual, I've read multiple posts on social media of people comparing the arc and characters of Tom and Jerry to Tom and Greg. And they both look like the mouse and the cat. Okay. Like absurdly.
The fact that we just had a fucking triple crossover that made sense in the past 5 minutes has me reeling.
Wow. I think we made a coherent storyline somehow that involved me waking up at 3 a.m. and saving cousin Greg.
I couldn't not write you in there. Like I knew I was getting ready.
I didn't expect to be written in, so I was really pleased.
I know. I was like, cousin Greg had to go first, but like...
because have you seen him?
Yeah, but I didn't want to do that to you where it's just the end because I know like you want them to be happy somewhere. So I put you bring in that happiness.
And Tom is still farting on the banana peel to this day.
To this day.
I can't believe you killed Kendall via warm fuzzies up the anus. That was insane.
Yeah. Happy birthday. This was amazing, and I think that it was married beautifully.
I think it kind of worked. Thank you. I thought they had good crossover appeal, and I think it was fun. They're fun characters to fuck with for sure. So, you know.
Yeah. Did this inspire any prequel predictions? The prequel prediction section is where Felicia and I come up with some kind of prediction we think will happen either in the Wonka trailer, the actual Wonka film, merchandise, promotions, whatever. It's a shit show, and usually it gets forgotten almost by some people who shall not be named. And then when it comes to us saying these predictions, we usually have never had any prepared. So
I'm going to make it an official prediction so I don't make my mistake where I give a prediction in the episode but don't make it official, that the Wonka film will have approximately a 2-hour runtime. Like within 10 to 15 minutes of that, I think. I guess 2 hours plus. 2-hour plus runtime. That's going to be my official prediction.
I love it. Then I am going to throw out my official prediction is that Keegan-Michael Key's character, who, if you go back to our second episode, we talk about this and we have some photos up, but he plays this like unrealistically like giant French policeman with a mustache. I'm going to say that character has like an Iago character arc, so makes morally ambiguous.
Okay.
I'm going to say is like chaotic neutral, whatever that needs to be.
I love it.
Get the...
I brought the red panda duck back. Should we make a prediction? The only potential Succession and Wonka IRL crossover is Matthew McFadden making a cameo, and I don't think it'll happen, but he is British, and Paul King loves a British actor. I don't think it's good enough to make it on our prediction sheet, but I want it really bad.
Yeah, I just want that to happen a little bit. Have him pop in there. Yeah,
like give him some funny glasses.
Perfect. I love
it. Have him order a croissant.
Kooky little beard. He could be the guy wearing the many, many spectacles on top of each other that like zoom in and zoom out. Because that is a prediction I made. Fuck me.
Matthew McFadden is the guy who wears the mini spectacles that zoom in and out. And it's like, has that been confirmed? Has that image been in the trailer? No.
To be clear, I was saying I already made the prediction about the spectacles. I am not officially saying that is a prediction that
no.
McFadden will be wearing it. I just wanted to make that clear. Now, if it happens, give me fucking 20 points for that, okay? But
give me $20.
Give me $20.
I'm going to make a bonus prediction that he will make a cameo. He's not going to, but all of our predictions are so fucking shit anyway. I don't think it matters.
We have a fish coming out and slapping someone in the face. Like, it's fucking insane. But you once said, like, someone will have a plate of cookies. What the fuck? We have some insane predictions.
Every time I get news, I'm like, oh, we're going to get to knock one off. And then all the things that I think were actual predictions we never made official. Meanwhile, I wish we could get we should make a thing where we can get a random prediction. Oh my God, that should be a feature of the podcast, that we get a random prediction and we have to review a past prediction.
Oh, Lord. When you say a random prediction, what do you mean? Like,
just like a random one we've made in the past.
Oh, we review a random one we've made in the past.
So for example, on episode 7, I made the prediction that someone will say yippee. And you made the prediction Wonka will make a chocolate item that has serious consequences. Okay, one of my worst predictions is Wonka will be given tap shoes / have tap shoes / I don't know tap shoes.
That is not one of the better ones, Felicia, I will say. I know it's your birthday, but I'm just going to gently...
Mine are really bad. Mine are really bad.
This is usually
Yours
how
are
it
kind
goes.
Of good, but I have Italian mobster element.
What does that mean? Love it, though. It fits.
You're a lot better at this than me.
And yet, you know what's going to happen, Felicia? You're going to get more correct than I will.
No, you do keep predicting instrument solos because you've done cello and oboe.
The prediction I was about to make, instead of we were talking about Keegan Michael Key, was that being like the whatever morally ambiguous character, it was that he's going to have a song with a strong trombone present.
When you don't have an episode, when you don't have an idea, you just say strong trombone presence. And when I don't have an idea, I pick some niche thing from history to put in an Easter egg. So I do Wonka history and you do instrument presence. I think if you do all the instruments, you're going to get one.
I genuinely do believe, though, for him, you think about the soundtrack and what needs to happen. Like, if he's that morally ambiguous character, imagine trombones happening, and it'll be a very trombone heavy song. And it is ridiculous, but I am meticulous with my specific song, instrument.
It's not just me. In episode 27, you predicted that someone will eat a loaf of bread. In episode 28, you predicted a fish that jumps out and slaps someone in the face. In episode 30, you predicted that the word rain will appear in song lyrics. In episode 28, I predicted that Wonka will use a wall-mounted telephone. Oh my God, we're so bad.
It's funny because sometimes I remember what led us there and it makes sense, and then other times I'm pretty sure a lot of time we're like, fuck it, he's gonna eat a lollipop and then his tongue will be green, it's just ridiculous.
This was an original episode 3. Wonka receives an infamous cane from an elderly man in his life that formed who he is as a person, good or bad. And then I said Wonka will make a gadget that helps his parental figure cook breakfast. You said he'll be constantly doing small magic tricks throughout the film. Truly, I predicted that he'll have a dog in episode 7. No, he won't. Why did I predict that? There's a bunch of question marks after it. I think it might have been one of those where I was like, I don't fucking know.
Well, because sometimes you'll say when you're like, no, wait, let me say another one. And you'll come up with 3 and it's not necessarily getting better.
They're always getting worse.
And better in the way that the worse they get, the better they are. Right. But the least sense they make, possibly. But maybe he does have a dog.
We both predicted that Wonka will skip school. I predicted that someone will make a reference to their teeth aching. You predicted that Timmy Wonka will cry out of pain and loneliness. Episode 15.
Now, if he cries out of tickles or some shit like that, I'm pissed.
Some of them are good. Some of them are good predictions. Yeah, I predicted somebody rides on a comically small boat. What are we doing? What are we doing?
We're setting ourselves up for failure.
We're going to have to do, I think once we hit like 200 predictions, which won't be long from now, we're at 77.
Yeah.
We will do a review where we review through all of our predictions and just
and at
judge our past self. We won't remove anything.
No, we will at that point, honestly, I think we'll be able to check off some.
Because a lot of our stuff is promotion too.
Yeah.
We can make predictions about who will leak information too. We haven't even thought about that.
Olivia Colman, I think, is notorious for accidentally saying shit. I mean, that was a small examples, but like she tends to do that. So she's like, I mean, at least we're
hearing nothing from Keegan-Michael Key.
Oh no,
I mean, it's silent. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Wonka Watch. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. We kind of got crazy in the last 10 minutes. I don't know what happened. I think Succession just like kind of filled us with a vitality of some sort. Mm-hmm. Why did I turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I don't know. I cannot wait.
Vitality.
There's definitely some shit that's going to get cut. That's like,
oh yeah,
bonkers.
Not a ton. But a decent bit.
But like, well, sometimes on a re-listen, you're like, oh,
yeah, whoa. No.
How did we get off on that side tangent?
We might have talked about Christian Borle-Wonka at length in a way that is not making it another episode.
A little bit. Yeah, fan fiction might have been brought up in a way that should not be shared with the world. You know, it's just,
Those are personal, private things. Anyway, if you want to follow us, you can do so at Wonka Watch on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to email us, you can email us at wonkarapture@gmail.com. And if you want to donate to us, like support the podcast, help us do some cool stuff in the future, which would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Do things examples like including... Yeah, the Golden Ticket board game. There's going to be makeup coming out, I'm sure. Like just all those product things that you guys send us, we want to do it.
But we want to do it. It's just difficult with our current setup without a visual element. And there's lots of things that I would like to do. One that I have is us ranking and reviewing all of the international covers of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that I found on Goodreads. That's a potential thing I'd love to do. And same with bootleg costumes. So if you are interested in seeing those things, you can support the podcast at buymeacoffee.com/WonkaWatch. It goes right back into the podcast and lets us do more fun stuff. All right. Thank you for listening, everybody. And it's not that important, fucknut.
Yeah, happy birthday. Yeah, that's important. It's not that important. It's not that important. But happy birthday. Separate sentences.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday. Bye. Oh, yeah, Felicia.
Thank you.
Of course.